Alright, so what I want to focus on is really targeting the glutes, okay? When doing a movement such as a hip hinge, okay, the glutes are very important because what they're going to do is they're going to aid, or really they're going to target and really focus on the hip extension. Hip extension is where we're going to bring our hip backward, and it's going to be relative to the same motion of when we come to stand up. So our hip is now in a flexed position from going from here to here. The hip is extending. So what we want to do is we want to focus on bringing the hips forward, using the glutes, bringing the hips forward to help us stand up. A very common mistake a lot of people end up doing is when they're in a bent over position of any manner. What they end up doing is they focus on pushing down at the floor to help them stand up. And they really push through the quads and really use the quads and the knee, okay, to really push up. And that's not exactly the motion we really want to do. Okay, we want to actually take a lot of the stress off the knee. In doing so, when we bend over in any capacity, when we're bent over, when we stand up, we actually want to use our hips to bring ourselves forward. And when bringing our hips forward, we're going to squeeze our cheeks and bring our hips forward, and that's going to help us stand up. And because our hip is going into extension, it's actually going to aid in a relative knee extension as well. Okay? So we have three gluteus muscles. Okay, you have the glute max, which is the big glute muscle, okay, that helps with the extension. And then we have a minimus and a medius muscle over here that helps with keeping us stable when we're standing. Okay, so this muscle over here on my right side, when I go to stand on my right hip, okay, it is going to help keep me up, my pelvis up here in line, so when I walk forward, it doesn't drop. Okay, and vice versa. So it's a really good idea when we want to target either side of these glute muscles to do anything in a single leg position. Okay, and that's really going to help aid us in doing anything. Okay, and it's really going to help aid in getting the strength and control. And I really encourage you to try doing anything in a single leg position, but make sure you are keeping a balance side to side. And so we are able to focus on doing these in a manner and in a fashion of something that you're already doing. Okay. For those, if you're unable to, I'm going to show you a couple ways to start, okay? So we're going to run through a couple ways to start with these muscles and getting them stronger. So, the first one I want to focus on, we're going to be just laying on a table. Okay, I find this to be a very good way to begin. All right. So, when starting here, this is a good progression, okay? Still to this day, this is one of my favorite exercises to do for the glutes. I find that it really targets them in a really good way, okay? So number one, we want to focus on the glute max, or the big booty muscle. And what we want to do is we want to squeeze our cheeks, okay? We really want to make sure that we know how to contract them well. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure we're in a pelvic neutral position. So we want to find our neutral position. We're going to go from an anterior pelvic tilt to a posterior pelvic tilt. We're going to get right in the middle. We're going to hold this position. We want to bring our lower abs in nice and tight to help solidify and stabilize that position. We want to tighten our glute. And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to use our glutes to come forward. And I want you to come up just as far as you can without any change in this pelvic neutral position. If you come up and you find that you're going like this, we're getting an increased arch here, and you're no longer using the glutes, but more so these lower spinal erector muscles. So we want to come down, and I want you to go only up as far as you can control. So come here, and if it's only there, then it's only there. Okay? And vice versa, we don't want you to come up like this. Okay? I want you to really focus on coming up here, and you should feel it right here, right around the belt line in the front. Okay, you should feel that nice and tight there the whole time, and as well as right back here in the cheeks. Okay, so a couple tips and tricks that I have for this. One, we're going to push through our heels. Okay, in doing so, that helps activate and control the motion with our hamstrings as well as in the glutes. Okay, so we're going to push through the heels, and I want you to sort of dig into the table or the bed or whatever you're using a little bit. Find that position, dig through the heels, and then come up. Okay, and down. Okay, so next thing I want to have you do is I want you to, this is going to be more of an addition. So once you're going to be digging through the heels, you already have your pelvic neutral position. The third thing I want you to do is I want you to feel as if you're pushing your knees outward. In doing so, that helps really activate and control with the gluteus medius and a little bit of the minimus muscles, and really help with the abduction component, okay? And that is going to help really solidify and stabilize our pelvis and our hips, okay? So we're going to find our neutral position. It's one. We're going to push through our heels, two. And as we come up, we're going to use our glutes to come forward, but we're also going to look at trying to bring our knees out a little bit. Okay, and what you should find is really getting a different amount you should be feeling a lot of tension here in the lower part of the glutes as well as here on the sides a little. Okay? And I want you to really focus on that until you feel a little burn in the glutes. And once you do, stop and continue with that until you begin doing a few sets with that. Okay? Another thing we can look at doing is adding some resistance. Okay? So right here I have just a piece of a band or tubing to add a little resistance. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing. So one, find our neutral position. So we're there. Hold it nice and tight. Squeeze our cheeks. Push through the heels. As we come up, the band is want to pull us together. So this is giving us a nice cue to pull out. Plus it's a little aided resistance. So we're going to pull up to the top. Once you get here, once you pull about 1, 2, and come down nice and slow. Okay, let's start over. And continue with that. Okay guys, go ahead, give that one a try, and let me know how it is.